we see the third one, the third model. Okay, I mentioned before we have three methods, three models. The first one, zero growth model, okay, which means that our dividend will be the same each year. The second one is constant growth model, so our dividend will grow at a constant rate. And the third one is variable growth model. So variable growth model actually says that your dividend will not be the same each year, and it will not grow at a constant rate. It will grow at a different rate. Okay, so there are a lot of techniques for the variable growth model, but in the textbook we are only using this technique. Okay, so we have several steps that we have to follow. Okay? Several steps that we have to follow. Now the non-constant dividend or variable growth. Okay. Before that, I forgot to mention that the other name for the constant growth model is Gordon model. Gordon model. G-O-R-D-O-N. Okay, so that is the other name. G-O-R-D-O-N. That is the the constant growth model. Other name for constant growth model. Okay, we are still looking for Zairina model, or maybe Alfisha model, okay, or Aliana model, or Siwen model. Okay, so you have a lot of genius here. So you can always develop a model. Don't become a model. You can develop a model. Okay, so basically the non-constant dividend or variable growth model assumes that the stock will pay dividends that grow at one rate during one period and at another rate in another year or thereafter. So one period it will grow. For example, the constant rate. The other period it will grow, maybe using the zero growth model. So that's what we're looking for here. So it will not be the same. It will not be the same as the zero growth model or the constant growth model. It might be a combination of these two models. So you look at the steps here. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, you have steps here. Okay, look at the steps. The first step is you will find the value of the cash dividend at end of each year, or DT. Okay, during the initial growth period, years 1 to n. This step may require adjusting the most recent dividend, D0, using the initial growth rate G1 to calculate the dividend amount for each year, therefore, for the first n years. Okay, if you read this, it might be confusing for you. Okay, but you have to do the example, then only you can understand better. Okay, so the formula is dt equal to d0 multiplied with 1 plus g1, then power of t, so equal to d0 multiplied with future value interest factor g1 and t. Okay, we have to find this one first. Okay, this is the first step. Okay, the first step we have to find the value of the cash dividend at the end of each year. The value of the end. Okay. The step 2, find the present values of the dividends expected during the initial growth period. Okay. So using the notation presented earlier, we can give this value as d0 in summation of n summation of t equals to 1. Okay, d0 multiplied with 1 plus g. Okay, and then power of t. Okay, this is actually from here, right? Okay, this is actually from here. Okay, then divided by 1 plus k as power of t. Okay, if you look at this, this is actually a present value formula, right? Present value formula, right? Present value formula is this divided by 1 plus k. So that is actually present value. Okay, so you have to find the present value of the dividend expected during the initial growth. So look at this present value. So we simplify this dt multiplied with present value interest factor k as t. Okay. So this might be a bit hard to digest at first, but after you have go through a lot of examples, then you might want to understand how to do it. But you have to follow the steps accordingly. Okay, you have to follow the steps accordingly. And then step 3, find the value of the stock at the end of the initial growth period. So we find the value of the stock, which is Pn. Okay, Pn equal to Dn plus 1. Then you divide it by Ks minus G2. So this is actually the formula for stock, right? Price, right? Stock price. Formula for stock price, dividend D1 divided by K minus G, right? Remember that the constant growth model, D1 minus K minus G. So, but this one is a bit different. Dn plus 1 divided by Ks minus G2. So, but if you do the example, now you can see that actually it's the same. Okay? But you have to understand why we have to use this step. So, which is the present value of all dividends expected from year n plus 1 to infinity. Okay, you look at the present value of all the dividends until infinity. Assuming that a constant dividend growth rate G2, this value is found by applying the constant growth model. So we are taking the constant growth model inside here. Okay, the first one you look at, actually we are using the zero growth model. Okay, and then we take the constant growth model. So the combination of the two models. Okay? And then, okay, so the present value of Pn would represent the value today of all dividends that are expected to be received from year n plus 1 to infinity. This value can be, okay, you look at this formula, 1 divided by 1 plus k as power of n. This is actually a present value formula, right? Multiply with Dn plus 1 minus, divided by k as minus G2. So it's actually equal to present value into factor and into factor Ks n multiplied with price of the stock. Okay, this is actually the price of the stock. Then only we can get the present value. Okay, for the price of the stock. Now let's see one example. Okay, if you look at the textbook example, okay, table 7.3. 7.3, you look at the example, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, right? So actually you are the most recent 2003 annual dividend payment of Warren Industry, rapidly growing boat manufacturer, was 150. So that is actually your D0. Okay, D0. Okay, the firm financial manager expects that this dividend will increase at a 10% annual rate. Okay, so actually it will increase at a constant growth, right? 10% every year. Okay, so basically over the next 3 years, 2004, 2005 and 2006. So because the introduction of a hot new boat. Okay, now let's see, at the end of the 3 years, the end of 2006, the firm mature product line is expected to result in a slowing of the dividend growth to 5% per year, or G2, for this foreseeable future. So basically from 10% it reduces to 5% until infinity. So from 2006 until infinity we will have a 5% growth, saying that. So the firm required return Ks is actually 15%. Okay, to estimate the current end of 2003 value of Warren common stock P0 equal to P 2003. So basically P0 will be equal to P 2003. The 4-step procedure must be applied to this data. Okay, you still look at this, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then lastly, step 4 is you have to add all the present values of the initial dividend stream and also the present value of the stock. Okay, now look at this example. Step 1. Okay, in my slide, also the same example. What would an investor be willing to pay for a stock if she just received a dividend of 250? Is it the same 250? No, it's not the same. Okay, this is a different example. This one is 150. If you look at 150, 10% growth rate. So D0 is 150. D1, how much is D1? 1.5 multiplied with 1 plus G. So you get 1.65, right? So 1.1 multiplied by 1.5 equal to 1.65. Okay, and then 1.65 you multiply again with 1.1, you get 1.82, right? 10% increase. And then 1.82 you multiply again with 1.1, you get 2 ringgit. So that is the D1 for each year. Okay, your D1. Okay. Okay. Now you look at D0 is equal to D2003. So basically, if you look at from the table, you look at future value interest factor 10%, and then the year. So year 1, year 2, and year 3. This is column 2. Okay, column 2. Okay, and then you get the DT 165, 182, and 2. Okay. After that, step 2, you have to find the present value. Okay, of the 3 dividends expected during the 2004 and 2006. So you just take the 15% required return, then find the present value for year 1, year 2, and year 3. So you get 0.87 and 0.756 and 0.658 for the 3 years respectively. Okay. Then you find the present value, get the total present value, which is 4 ringgit and 14 cents. Okay, that is step 2. Step 3, you have to find the value of the stock at the end of initial growth period N equal to 2006. So basically, we have to find it from D 2006 multiplied with 1 plus the new growth rate, which is 5%. So 2 ringgit, okay, that 2 ringgit we take from D 2006, okay, D 2006, plus with 1 multiplied with 5%.